There's duality to everything. Everything requires balance for ultimate flow. And as with every revolutionary technological era of our history, there comes positive impacts and detrimental shifts. We know that generative AI and ChatGPT, we know is just the tip of the iceberg here, folks, is being deemed by many as one of the most influential tools of our modern era. It's no secret, we're hearing it everywhere. With this in mind, as I move through this presentation, I implore you to consider, way back when you were an undergrad, what your philosophy of education was. Consider what your philosophy of AI is. I've kind of gone back and forth as a curious explorer, as an educator, and this is where I've landed, right? So my philosophy of AI, as educators, we have the ability to frame and steer the integration of generative AI tools into society. We are indirectly tasked with preparing students for how to professionally and consciously utilize diverse AI platforms for a multitude of purposes, allowing future literacy leaders to emerge as critical and engaged participants in the communications of their daily lives. Duly, we must equally increase awareness, being proactive and modeling responsive attention to the detriments, teaching never to sacrifice authenticity and balance of the creative mind at its own power. As I flow through this, again, start considering what is your philosophy of AI, because it's going to frame how you view all of these tools in your role with AI. So let's talk a little bit more about this duality of AI and education, right? So, in one hand, we know that there's the detriments, these frightening impacts of learning authenticity. You may have seen in the news, U.S. distrust Russian government, relied on AI technology. I mean, personally, maybe I'm dating myself, but I go back, I think about like the Matrix, it's the robot takeover, or even, 2022, I don't know if everyone remembers this in the news, the image that they were able to identify someone on, the street based on images that they posted on social media. This was Instagram 2022, right? We know on the other hand, we keep hearing how it augments productivity, communications at large, right? All these different tools, it can transform the classroom, it can transform education. So I just want everyone to know where I'm coming from. I come from that place of balance, that duality. I am in both AI for EDU camps. In one hand, I want to have that fight. There is a level of fear. On the other hand, I'm enthusiastic and I embrace it. So I am an educator. I task myself with the responsibility of critically assessing tools while also maintaining boundaries of effective application. So if you're like my colleagues, I anticipate the response to this. So I might hear things like, that sounds great, Natalie, but how do we actually do that? Have you? And are you forgetting that the plate is already full? If I'm at the picnic and I got that cheap paper plate, like it's all falling off. Like, when are we going to actually have time to do any of this? P.S. I'm tired. I don't think I have it in me to be revolutionary right now. I get it. I get it. I hear you. I'm there. I'm right there with you. I'm in the trenches too. I could be an idealist and a realist. I seek balance. So today's objectives today, because I understand where we're coming from, okay? We're going to be exposed to a plethora of diverse generative AI beyond ChatGPT for multimodality learning. We're going to consider that duality of their classroom integrations, all right, positive and negative. We're going to be coming four perspectives in this media landscape, really thinking about, acknowledging what do we know to be true? Let's recognize what we know is just not going to work. Shape perspectives for maybe what just might, and question what's now. But I just want to know how to get my students to stop plagiarizing my assignments with ChatGPT instead of doing the writing and the research for themselves. And I want to be creative, and I want to have policies in place and be aware of source and reliability influences of the media. And we got this. We got this. You'll leave feeling empowered too. So I'm Natalie. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a brave new world, and we are the leaders to frame it. I've been an English educator for 15 years, currently long-term in the state of Connecticut, but I've taught in upstate New Hampshire, collaborated across New England, and try to connect globally. I always advertise that I've never liked ed tech, but I've indirectly been motivated to get involved and by default have been a leader, because any educator knows you got to be what your students need. I got to prepare them for the world that they're entering, not the world I want it to be, right? By default, I'm an AI ed tech leader. I've been an adjunct professor of educational technology. I engage with the Media Ed Institute. Big shout out. Definitely look it up when we're done. I got a critical AI literacy certification with them. I'm connected with namely ISTE certification, leadership, ed tech, ELA tools. I'm just a curious explorer. If you'd like to follow me, I have a brand new course this year. I'd love for you to join me in my exploration. So nleak _edu. Feel free to connect with me. And we're going to get moving. Let's jump right in. All right, let's start small. I know a lot of you already know this, but to my friends brand new, ChatGPT is not the only AI tool. All right, my little joke here is ChatGPT is like the McDonald's of the generative AI world. All right, it ain't the only burger in town. I think about, when the phone came out, and everyone's fearing what this is going to do for society. And some of you are right. All right, but you hear that phrase, there's an app for that. Well, there's an AI for everything as well. And it can be overwhelming. All right. So we're going to start slow and then we're going to move it fast. All right. So what is AI really? I love this image at the top here that moves from narrow AI, general AI, super AI. I'm going to quote something from my critical AI literacy course with the Media Ed Institute. I love this. It says, artificial intelligence is a broad term, right? It's like calling specific applications artificial intelligence, like calling a car a vehicle. Okay, but like, what kind? What's the brand? And what's the miles per gallon? And what's the, where are all the attributes? It's correct, but it doesn't cover all these specifics. Okay. So slowing it down, ChatGPT is a chatbot that uses what's called a large language learning model. It's a form of generative AI. It falls under that narrow AI. Okay. And for those of you, like, oh, the Matrix, the robot takeover. Okay. We've barely dipped our toes into that next level of general AI, things like autonomous self-driving cars. Like we were barely there. So super AI, the robot takeover, we're not there yet. Not saying we shouldn't fear it. We're just not there yet. Okay. We know that generative AI has fully emerged in society. Okay. It's everywhere. It's popping up. It's overwhelming. You hear the positives, you hear the negatives. I love Microsoft's work trend index for 2024. This is huge. When you're thinking about your own beliefs, your philosophy, all right, versus what you actually have to do, 66% of leaders say they wouldn't hire a worker without AI aptitude. 71% would prefer a less experienced candidate with AI skills over a more experienced one without these skills, which of course begs the question of who's teaching these skills, okay? But keeping it slow, we know society is already AI saturated, okay? It's already here. All right. We're seeing it in all aspects of social media, daily lives, and just basic search engines, your email. It's there. We know it's here. So let's get the lingo down, because I think this is where people get a little bit lost. We just, we say AI and they become synonymous with ChatGPT. So let's slow this down. Okay. Chatbot, large language model, machine learning. But let's start over here on the other side, okay? I like this little like umbrella view. I referenced Shrek. Yes, I'm a mom. I'm thinking about my kids, but right in the original Shrek, there's this reference where he's talking about ogres being like onions. There's layers. Okay, let's acknowledge the layers of AI. Okay, on the outside, the outer layer, you have AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, you remove a layer, we're moving into machine learning. You remove a layer, we have deep learning. And then what we're talking about at the core is what we as educators really care about, which is generative AI. Okay, I'm going to leave this here for you. Check out this. I have the ultimate AI dictionary, a lot of resources, but let's just think about these as layers. Okay, and if you're already like, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, I'm one of those, show, don't tell, right? I'm an English teacher. Let's get a quick taste of some of these mainstream generative AI tools and relate them to media literacy. All right, I'm going to go quick. You're going to have access to this. You're going to come back to it. All right, here we go. First one, here we go. I'm sure you've heard of this one. If you have it, Eduate. It's all about teacher productivity. Let's look at the duality here, all right? Here is a tool that immediately is going to create units, lesson plans, quizzes, very much for the educator, right? Report card comments. You can modify for Lexile. You could craft IEP lessons in 15 languages. You're going to have Common Core alignment. You want some SEL in your class? Bring it on. Oh yeah, and it's free. There's a pro option available. We're going to talk about this a little more later, but as a negative, as a con, it's quality, creativity of the tool, a little bit of a generic wrapper that'll make sense in a moment. There's a great starting point for ideas, but I still think it doesn't engage my learners for that multimodalities. You're really going to have to add your creativity. Pro options costs money. Take a look. If you've never really played with these, here's a layout of what a screenshot of what EduAid looks like. You got see lesson seed, prior knowledge. You immediately click on like, what do I need? Okay. So here's an example. I typed in media literacy regarding elections because yes, that's going to be a big deal this year. All right. And I got these in seconds, folks, absolute seconds. All right. In that bottom left there, you see lesson seed, boop, 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 lesson ready to go. Well, but I need a whole unit. Oh, no worries. I click unit, literally seconds, boop, 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 boop. When you have a moment, come back, click on some of these resources. You can learn a little bit more about EduAid and how to actually apply these tools. But I'm going to keep flowing. We're just getting that taste, right? Going to the buffet, all right? The next one is Magic School AI. You've probably been hearing about this one everywhere, okay? So from my own humble perspective, I love it because once again, I can generate lessons, unit plans, report card comments. What brings this one to the next level is that now you have a student interface. All right, so you see that little screenshot there? You know, looks kind of like the last one. Yep, multiple choices. Okay, great. I can also now present this to the student. I do want to acknowledge that just like the other tools, this also has a plus or enterprise level that would cost money versus the free one. And you will need these paid ones to meet most state privacy laws for students. Again, if you're like, what are you talking about, lady? We're going to get there. All outputs also kind of sound robotic. It's a really great place to start. You could generate images. You could create whole lessons and units. All right. Take a look at some of these. This is just so you could see, you can select tools you want for your students. So it's that same layout. You could even create student rooms. And again, if this is feeling too fast and too overwhelming, you're going to have access to all this with little videos and things that slow it down. They even have a little chat bot to personalize learning with your students. All right, one more, then we'll take a breath. All right. This one's called School AI, which by the way was huge at ISTE this year. This is the one that was getting a lot of attention on social media as a result of ISTE. Once again, similar. You have, in this case, they focus a little more on the, instead of the productivity, more as this AI as a co-pilot. So you have chat bots. And again, ChatGPT is a type of chatbot using a large language learning model. Okay, all right. Promotes critical thinking. They promote themselves as safe AI chat spaces for students. You got, again, lessons, IEP, syllabus, rubrics. They even have jokes in this one, which are actually pretty good. You can interact with historical literary figures. My con is that it says it's going to work with K through 12 audiences and demographics, although I kind of wonder how my, diverse juniors and seniors are going to receive this tool. I'll let you know. I also wonder if it's going to challenge another tool we're going to look at in a bit called Conmigo that I think is going to steal the tutor show, and a 75 max daily participation for the free version. I have over 120 students every year, so I would have to get the paid version. Will they, will that work for my privacy agreement? I don't know. But take a look at this layout. All right. Here's another little breakdown so you can see some visuals of what these chatbots are going to look like. I have a little shot there in the middle there. Those really engaging images shows you what the layout in terms of, if you know Google Classroom, this is kind of the layout. It breaks down School AI. Your students get a code, invites them to real time. What I like about this tool is it doesn't just give students answers, or you can see a little visual there in the upper right corner, and ask questions to really push student inquiry to help them get to their own conclusions. So simplistically, it's really a personalized chatbot whose purpose is to drive inquiry and critical thinking. Yes. Self-contained platform. Yes. All right. All right. I'm feeling you. I know. Let's slow down for a minute. We'll take a little breather. Going faster, she's saying, slow down, we're going faster. I get it. Let's slow down for a moment. I know. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of fear. Okay, so let's slow down for a moment. All right. So I'm hearing the question. All right. So I like the medians and modes for multimodal producing and consuming. These tools are offering, but am I crazy, or did they all kind of look the same, right? Do those interfaces and layout look similar to you? Okay, you're not crazy. You're absolutely right. Those were 3 of the mainstream tools. All right, we're going to move to the next slide. They're different, but they're kind of the same. Okay. Most generative AI tools are using the same language learning models. Okay. The best example I can give to you is take a look at this image here. Okay. Are they all different? Kit Kat, Hershey, Reese's. Reese's is where it's at for me. All right. Yes. But are they all chocolate? Yes. Yes, exactly. That is the same concept as we move through Magic AI and School AI. A lot of them are using similar language learning models. And then take it philosophically to the next level. Note that all of these ones in this image are Hershey. Think about their competing brands. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. If you're following me, great. If not, you'll come back, you'll take a look. All right. But here's the point. Ed tech marketers want our clicks. They want our usage. What does that mean? That means that we as educators, as people in the media, we have the power to frame, right? Think about that picture frame, what will and will not be acceptable. All right. Think about when you walk down that grocery store aisle, when you're, maybe you do it, digitally, what you choose to buy or not buy is communicating. All right. What tools we choose to use or not use in our classrooms and our daily lives is going to let those marketers know what we will and will not find acceptable. You should feel empowered. All right. In fact, most mainstream ed tech platforms are looking for their AI edge, right? AI for integration, AI for course management, AI for assessment, AI for content. They know it's here. So they're waiting to hear from us. What are we going to click on? We have the power, folks. We're going to tell them what we need. We're going to let them know what is acceptable or not acceptable, shaping society from our classrooms. Yes. Yes, that's an exciting perspective, right? So let's slow this down. All right. Let's have some more explicit breakdowns for how AI tools actually work. This is really a great slide for you to come back to later. I included a link to this guy, Alex Solad. He was the keynote at UConn Spring Tech Conference, not this year, a year ago. And he really slowed down and was the first time I really was able to understand how AI is not an algorithm. It's all based on probability. And if that doesn't make sense to you, check out his keynote. It's public on UConn's website. And down below, you may have seen these in other presentations. They're fabulous. I'm a English teacher. I'm a show don't tell kind of gal. Check out the quick draw. Quick draw really gets you in that mindset of, again, how AI does not work in terms of an algorithm, how it works in the world of math and probability. Okay. Check it out later. If you're more of that like science, you want that coding edge, check out this other one down here with coding AI. Pretty cool to really kind of get in that mindset and start helping each other understand how do these tools actually work. Okay, now anytime I go to present about this, the number one thing, especially as an English teacher, I hear about is we want to know, what is AI going to do with source reliability? All right, first things first, AI hallucination. Is this still a thing and should I be concerned? They actually thought that when AI got access to browse the internet, the AI hallucinations were going to be minimized. But it's not quite the case. It actually increased the concern for these bias outputs. I know some of you heard, the issues that happened with Gemini with its first, unveiling, and there's some recent issues with bias. All right. AI does not understand context. Okay. It's superior guessing. I love this example. All right. I saw a saw in the shed. AI does not know the difference between I saw like the object, the tool I'm going to use versus saw the verb, the action. All right. Come back later. Check out every pixel journey. They really show you disproportionality, duplicates, and some of these bias outcomes, like Roman couple, like we want to be inclusive in modern society, but obviously we want to respect and not have anachronisms for our history. So my key takeaways, and you could come back to this later, is we need media literacy education. These students need to learn how to decode and dissect what they consume critically and mindfully, right? They need that foundation of history. They need that foundation to know how to decode it, right? Students, like any research, they need to fact check for source reliability. These are core skills and become even more challenging for them to be able to do. So as we keep moving, let's do a little self-check. All right, you've probably seen some of these. This is New York Times. I stole some of their images here. So New York Times came out with this. I think they had maybe 20. You can go back and play. Here are 4 of them. Take a moment and decide which of these are AI generated and which are real. I'll sip my coffee and wait. You feel good? You feel confident? Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. Here we go. All right. You can see how I did. All right. I got 3 right, 1 wrong. So even I was duped. I'm in this world. All right. The ones on the left there, right? AI generated. The ones on the right are real. How'd you do? I'm actually going to start the year with my students with this. All right. Check out PC Mag's AI generated. Okay. So which ones of these are real? We have which one of these is an owl actually drawn by Picasso? Which one is a sculpture of a god from ancient Greece? Amsterdam at night? Which one of these is a photograph of a brown Highland cow in a field of flowers? So take a moment. Again, steep in my coffee. Ready? 5. Feeling confident? 4, 3, 2. Yeah. So how'd you do? How'd you? We got Dolly, we got Midjourney, we got, I'm pronouncing Crayon. All right. How'd you do? Right. And if you got duped, if you got them all right, you're amazing. You're amazing. But if you got duped by any of these, that right, that says, and by the way, if you like a lot of these, here's some other comparison challenges you can play around with your colleagues later. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit more. Okay. I started to hear like there was this bandwagon with AI. We need to focus on the process over the product. Oh, as my students say, that's starting to sound a little cringe. Okay. Because the product does matter, right? You know, in the job world, like what you produce matters. So I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, well, let's just reframe it. Maybe the process should equal the product. Okay. Maybe we should change that philosophy that, you know, we focus the learning, yes, on the process and equal weight to the product. You know, if you start to do that, I'm telling you, it becomes harder in the classroom to, you know, to have AI replace the process. It can help you polish that product, right? So process equals product. All right. All right. Take a deep breath. I'll sip my coffee with this. So, an AI detection and plagiarism. You may have seen some of these tools trying to rule the show the last 2 years. Take it last year, yeah. AI detectors, they just don't work, folks. They don't work. You may have seen some of these at all. At all. They don't work. They don't work. You see this, you'll get these, like a lot of these tools get this little band, will give you this like a little percentage of how much of it has been AI generated. The research has proven and you're about a 50-50% chance. In fact, I won't highlight, but like this one AI tool, I at least respect. They just got to a point in August where they were of 2023 that they were just like, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to backpedal on this. And they acknowledge it. It's not working. All right. At this point, it's nothing more than a number generator. Okay. Your text is likely, it's not working. In fact, in most students, you know, at the college level, at the younger level, can even go into these tools and ask them. They have different tools to try to bypass a lot of these tools. Okay. So the research proves that AI detectors, we're looking at a 50-something% chance of accuracy. You might as well just flip a coin. Okay. Don't cry. Don't cry. My English teacher is like, want to have a mental breakdown at this point. But think about it. As a teacher, you can now be falsely accusing a student. And I don't know about you, but once you start getting to the higher levels, you start to get to the university level, we're hearing a lot about this legality, and it's creating such a divide between the learner and between the teacher. So I know, like, what do we do with this? And by the way, I love the example of some researchers at UConn put in the Declaration of Independence that gave some like 90-something% outcome of being, you know, AI plagiarized. Like, okay. So outcome, we must rethink how to teach students to culminate information and produce a well-researched product. I must teach students a balance of external resources with their internal knowing. Blended voice is our future, folks. All right. So if you want to walk away with, okay, but what am I going to actually do? All right. Here's a couple tools that are kind of cool. Here's a beat the detector experiment, at least at the 9-12 level. I like students to get in that mindset of, okay, how is AI working? How is my research, my plagiarism? Am I plagiarism? AI detectors and banning, if we acknowledge that it will not work, then what? Marketers are running the show right now. The battle was lost before we even knew it was happening, as far as I'm concerned, which is quite clever. They put it in the hands of kids before adults, right? It's not by accident, folks. A Snapchat had a mainstream bot before Google, all right? By accident? Regardless, apps, they're desperately competing to get their brand used. They're waiting for us to click on them, to use it. We are the target audience, okay? Our students are that target audience, so let's not be shy, all right? So when you come back, take a look. Let's shift those perspectives. Take a look at some of this research of how we can be in control, okay? And for those of you that are like, okay, but what am I going to do with students? What am I going to go back when I suspect it's AI? Check out this lady. If you don't know, her name is Allie McCrary. She blows my mind in terms of her presentations and her resources. So if you like mine, go to hers. She blows my mind. What to do? What do you suspect it's AI? She's some great resources. This is one of them I would implore you to come back to. And again, getting in the mindset of my colleagues. But I teach an AP college level course and I need something to check for authentic work. And I can't flip this type of classroom right now. I'm sorry, I'm right there with you. I don't think it's fair. We just went through the pandemic. We're going through societal shifts. The election is looming. Is there any advice? Is there a silver lining? The answer to me is yes. Yes, it's not the answer we're looking for. We're never going to get a Turnitin, highlighted, this was plagiarized. But there is a new philosophy of tracking changes in a doc, okay? Shifting the process for writing and research, all right? So here are some of those tools. Revision history, copy leaks, brisk teaching. I got to appreciate that they flipped their philosophy for this. Draft back. All right. If you ever use Google Docs, you know there's something called a built-in tool called revision history. Same idea, not the same. So much better. Okay. And what it does is it helps you track the progress so that then, you can grade the product. Showing you how many edits, how much time they spend on a doc. Really, having students say, look at my process, not just the product. I like it. It's working in my classroom. Let's keep going. Okay. And by the way, I know there's someone in the audience saying like, excuse me. And what do you do when you actually catch a student? I'm crafting, folks. I'm right there. I'm thoughtfully making up. I'm revising my classroom policies every year, but I always say, whether it was 15 years ago or today, in my classroom, I start with the conversation built on the relationship we've already established. And maybe we could kind of work together with our trials and errors, because I think that's exactly what it's going to be for these next handful of years. All right. Let's get to the point though. We are the superheroes of learning. Let's shift the perspective. Okay. What if AI does not write for you? It writes with you. All right. Conmigo is a tool that's coming your way. It's this concept of having a co-pilot with you. Maybe like you write 2 sentences, AI writes 2 sentences. All right. This teacher-student model, we're working together with AI. It writes with you. In terms of where does it fit in the writing process, to be determined. I mean, but in my philosophy, maybe it's time to transform the whole writing, research, inquiry process, right? Here's some traditional images, right? Pre-writing draft, right? I have a model I'm working on. I'm not sharing it right now because I haven't tried it, right? Let's not jump the gun here, right? But my vision is of balance, okay? And I think it actually should be different K-12. I'm in the 9 through 12. So like 9th grade, I think my students I teach 9th grade, needs full foundational skills, minimize use of AI, maybe helping with editing and revision. By the time I get to 12th grade, they've already shown, 9, 10, 11, achieve mastery of skills. So now maybe AI is going to help with that pre-writing drafting phase. I see it in, that differentiated piece. I even think some of these presentations in themselves, we could differentiate. So if you're interested, by the way, if you're interested, feel free to follow me on social media. I plan to share my process and learning how this works in the classroom. I'm excited. But there's a lot of different pieces. A lot of people out there that are playing around with this idea of like low versus high. Where should AI fit in? And is it a low implementation or a high implementation? Right. I love this. Some people are really considering, media literacy skills and how we like decode these applications and consider the roles in production. So here's some really great, I'm trying to cite where they came from at the bottom there, if you want to learn more, but I love these, like this idea of like a scale of when should AI be included, when should it not? North Carolina Department of Education, like they're coming out mainstream over here in terms of like a red light, green light approach. Love it. At least we're getting into that mindset of considering where does AI fit, all right? Whew, should we take a breather? Let's take a breather. Let's have a little fun. All right. You sit back. I'm going to do the work. You breathe. I'm going to show you some cool things you can bring to your classroom tomorrow, starting with AI image generators. Too much to cover, so I included my whole presentation here. But image generators can help students visualize their learning. I know we see it on social media, but what does it look like formally? It forces my students, when you create images, to be specific in word choices. I have students take evidence from our reading, like the Odyssey we read, they can't visualize specific, characters or places. Image generators using direct evidence. Yes, they could get a little wonky. these students need to learn how to decode them for bias. Absolutely. If you want more information, click on this full presentation here. But the more they understand about AI, the more they can decode. It empowers them. The next tool, I'm an English teacher, folks. I can't not talk about Tweet. Tweet is teacher productivity, magic AI, like school AI. It's an AI tool just for ELA. You can make text to YouTube videos, create questions from YouTube. You got awesome grammar vocab design. Will Conmigo kind of push this one aside and steal the show like magic AI and school AI? Maybe. But this is a really great free one right here. If you want to learn a little more, I got a TikTok overview, some more resources. You can see the little layout for this tool. There's another one, Goblin Tools, you hear a lot about. For those of you that want to, that more of that like K-8 sector. It's accessible for neurodiverse learners. That's a huge piece where AI can really help some of our special needs students. It formalizes language, brainstorms, breakdown, really helps students kind of, simplify their ideas. But on the level of simplicity, the tool itself is kind of simplistic and limited. So pros and cons. Canva. Oh, this is a big one, folks. I'm sure you've heard of Canva, like, creating infographics and background. Watch out. Canva creates instant presentations for the student who had 3 weeks to do a research, PowerPoint, Prezi, Google slide deck. All right, instant presentation. Seriously, full research-based, ready-to-go presentations in seconds. Yes, the student needs to be super aware of anachronisms and hallucinations. There's one my student did with Abe Lincoln with the Ford Explorer in the background. They didn't catch that. Yeah. Okay. So if a teacher's unaware, they may think a student spent hours doing research and crafting visuals, and yet here steps in Canva, who again is really kind of stealing the show, particularly with the image aspect of AI. Tons of resources here. Definitely come back, check this out. And should I have like a drum roll here? All right. Conmigo, baby. Districts are going to be looking for that safer tool. With student privacy laws, they're going to help. Conmigo, most of you know Khan Academy hand in hand with SAT. Welcome, Conmigo. Supports Khan Academy. You have a 24/7 tutor. That's how their chatbot's going to work. Very much does that kind of inquiry based, not just going to give you answers. Really works as that co-pilot tutor. It's tracking data. It's providing that data to the teacher, to the parent, to the student, personalizing learning. I'm going to set that it's maybe as a negative. It's not going to be as engaging of chatbot to our students. Maybe that's a good thing. I could see this is where I think this is hashtag the one that a lot of districts are going to cling to, or maybe should, as that safer kind of entryway into using AI in the classroom. Look at the layout, looks very much like a lot of the other wrappers, right? Wrappers, okay. Definitely come back and check it out. CurePod, for any of you in the, K-12 sector that were using Nearpod, I can't help but feel like CurePod is kind of the next level, all right? It's going to do that AI level interaction. Okay, so students can join live with a pin. It creates magic with instant formative assessment. So like I asked for a hero's journey lesson and got instant interactive activities that you're seeing here. As anything else, there's a high chance of inaccurate information. It is challenges help. It's student generated or AI generated, but CurePod, and it's free right now. Really, really mind-blowing. Can't go through this without talking about Diffit, simple generating platform, makes adaptive resources. You've got summaries, comprehension, many languages available. For those people that haven't really dove into the AI world, Diffit is very simplistic. I think it's going to get shadowed by a lot of the other AI generator platforms. But again, for teacher productivity, it's a nice entry point. All right, so for my collegiate colleagues who are sitting here like, well, in their eyes being like, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one. Do you know about these ones? All right, check out this video. I really love this person that I've been following, and he breaks down a couple of these tools much better than I could, from Podcastle to Instagraph to Graphy. These are pretty mind-blowing tools for that college collegiate level. What are some tools that are, not just, not just the, bag of tricks. Okay, and then we have a final quick dump of goodies for here. I'm going to be using Adobe a lot this year for podcasts, for Enhance. We have ChatGPT and Edpuzzle, a couple other tools that, again, I'd love for you to come back and take a look at. How to make a good prompt. This is a big one that a lot of people, I could probably do a whole presentation. I know other people have, but I just want these resources here. You could break it down. Again, I'm referencing Alexander Sola, who did an amazing job with UConn. I up in the right here, my favorite prompter is Alice Keeler. I mean, seriously, mind-blowing the information she has, and just some other ways, the Media Ed Institute and some other pieces. Go to your room, please. All right, perfect prompt. I love this. Annotated, broken down, task, concept, example. Come back to all of this. I'm just going to flow a little bit now, but these are just resources for you to come back to. So like a media lit idea. These are not my ideas. I'm citing all my resources. These are some great like artificial intelligence in the class. So have students get involved in it. Have students be a part of the research. Harper, please go to your room. Sweetie, go to your room, please. Thank you. All right. So, and I also have my Tech Talk project over here. It's skills of inquiry, critical thinking, mindfulness, really kind of thinking about media lit in your classroom. Like we've already talked about things like, in the English class, we talk, history class, and humanities, soapstones, different ways to dissect or decode. The door is open for us. Have students start evaluating AI tools in education, get them involved in the process. I think these are skills that they are going to need to know. I mean, and take it even as a media lit idea, maybe have them chat with historical, literary, political, entertaining figures. Hume is one, his history hello. A lot of these tools allow you to chat with these historical figures. Yes, it does bring a level of concern for authenticity and accuracy and would I want someone to represent me? But there's so many different ideas of how we can build AI literacy in analyzing the effectiveness of things like characterization, tone, attitude, personality, mood. This is one that was mind-blowing. I can't believe this person shared this. Chris Clemente, I don't know him personally, but he's just, I've seen this online. I love this. This free AI tools help yourself. If you really want your mind blown and kind of where is this all going, you came here for the next level, check this out. I'm from Connecticut. Here's a podcast and group I'm involved in with Ed Advance. They really are advanced in their conversations of AI. They have an active podcast. They have this little video that shows you chat GPT-4 with voice and vision. Yeah, maybe you want to check out Vidu, which is a Chinese competitor which uses Sora AI and it's text to video instantly. All right. I mean, for those who remember duality, I do carry a level of fear while I sit here and I'm embracing some of these tools. I reel myself back in. News Atlas 2024. ChatGPT-4 is more persuasive than humans and it can now read emotions. That brings me to a full stop. What does that mean? What does that look like? What boundary? How am I framing this? So I implore you to come back and take a look at this research. All right. Let's kind of start to wrap this up with like that level of policy. Like, what does this actually mean? Like, you need to inform yourself. Do you know your local state? And maybe your district, your university's policies. And if there aren't any, maybe you need to start getting involved in starting a steering committee. So I included a lot of resources here for you to go back to. From ISTIS policies, Teach AI is a really great place to start. I put some of my Connecticut local stuff just so you could kind of get an idea of, what does this actually mean? A lot of people, I went to a statewide conference and not everyone's interpreting the same. Let me get right to the research I did, compliance. We want to protect student privacy, that nothing that goes into these language learning models, is going directly to the training model. We need safety barriers of personal information. And a lot of states have laws against this, which is why those wrappers, some of them are a little corny, but they can become safer options. They become buffers, especially when you're paying for them to protect that student privacy. You have to have them sign these data privacy agreements for them to do this. Some people think if you click, you have a Google login, you click the one click, okay, Google's protecting you. No. So slow things down, come back to this, take a look at this. I'm still trying to figure it out. All right. Here's some other really great resources that I just found and I'm sharing back out there to you that were shared publicly of some other tools, resources, organized, category, description. If you want to go big, like zoom out, like what are the educational leaders actually saying about this? I don't know why it's not making mainstream news, but the Department of Education gave an official AI report in May of 2023. The NETP in 2024, they have their own, it's a really great document to go through here. So when you have time, go back. As I went through this, this is what I now know to be true that led to my philosophy of education, which teeter-tottered back and forth. AI is here. Is going to continue to grow in its role in society. I can't be driven by my own personal fear or anger or frustration, nor will I shrug my shoulders idly. I must be the model. I must be what students need, right? That's why we do this. Local, state, and national educational leadership must come together. They have to come in partnership to pave the way. Because if we're not proactive, we're giving the power back to the marketers, and then we're going to spend the next decade being reactive, fueling those divides that are already happening. So my takeaway, this is our closure here, folks. We are the leaders. We have the power to frame it. Okay. Alice Keeler is someone I love to follow. If you don't know her, please look her up. And I love that she says that AI is not magic. It requires the wisdom, experience, and expertise of seasoned educators to truly make a difference in the classroom. Love it. Love it. All right. So now what? As we walk away, all right, here's my 3 tips for you, other than going back through all of this in a slower form. Number 1, consider your philosophy of AI in education. Post some exploration. Have some playtime. 2, inform yourself of these policy and privacy laws local to your educational institutions and really decode the policies and laws in place. Lastly, the one I really care about and the why I'm here, let's all feel the power. Let's feel that power of framing the role of AI in society from your classroom, augmenting learning with these technologies that you found safe and appropriate for your learners as they build crucial media literacy skills. In closing, folks, again, we're the leaders to frame it. Yeah, all right, marketers got the ball rolling, but we can't stop it. We can be those bumpers to direct that best possible outcome of AI's impact on education and society at large. So thank you for joining me. Do enjoy access to this presentation. Reach out to me. Follow me this year as I do my own trial and error in my classroom. Again, I'm going to play around with AI policy. I'm going to play around with implementing some of these tools in my new contemporary journalism class, which is really a media literacy course. I'd love to connect with you, to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me.